Scott, do we have participants? Yes, we have 24 people in here. So I'm going to get everything started. Our apologies, everyone. We had some technical difficulties. We had someone else trying to use our our webinar Zoom link, so it kept kicking everyone out. So there's no, thankfully, there was no. It's not because of some satellites going down or anything like that, some major catastrophe. So we're going to get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for giving us this. Thank you for joining us for this panel called Get More Gigs, How Bands Can Maximize GigSalad's Tools. My name is Eve Smith. My pronouns are she, her, and by way of visual description, I am a white, middle-aged female with short brown hair and brown eyes and a white button-up shirt. I am the development manager here at Folk Alliance. Before we begin, let's take a moment to note that we are joined today by folks from around the globe and to collectively recognize the importance, the complexity, and the difficulty of offering land acknowledgements in the context of online organizing, creation, and collaboration. I am joining you from the indigenous lands of the Osage, Kansa, Ka, Kickapoo, and Ocheti-Sakowin nations, also known as Kansas City. We invite you to not only join in acknowledging our shared responsibility to work towards reconciliation, but to commit to taking personal and meaningful and measurable action towards healing the legacies of colonization, forced migration, and cultural erasure. We will be pasting a link in the chat for so that you can learn more about your Indigenous legacy on the land where you live. With that in mind, it is my great pleasure to now finally be able to introduce our presenter today, who will guide us through this informative presentation for the next hour. Please join us in welcoming GigSalad's Megan Price.
Hello, everyone. Oh, goodness. Oh, got a bubble starting out. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I've actually been to Folk Alliance before, and it's an awesome event. So I hope everybody's enjoying it if you're there in person. And thanks for joining the webinar. So we'll just kick this off. Our presentation today is about getting more gigs and using GigSalad to land some bookings for your band. So I hope this is informative and helpful to everybody. So let me quickly share my screen. All right. And Eve, I see you talking. I'm not sure if you're wanting to talk to the audience.
Yeah, I was going to stop you and let everybody know if you have questions, please drop them in the Q&A. It's found at the bottom of your Zoom. So it's easier for us to track Q&A or questions in the Q&A section rather than the chat. But if it happens to get into the chat, we will filter those out and put them into the Q&A.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have time for that at the end, and I will cover a few frequently asked questions toward the end too. But okay, just to start out, to introduce myself, my name is Megan Price. I have been with GigSalad for about 12 years. I was hired originally to handle our social media and marketing. So that meant I ended up going on the road a lot, talking to people at expos. We were actually at Folk Alliance several years ago, talking to bands in person. So just sharing GigSalad with new audiences. My real passion is customer support. And so I was actually moved into a customer support position in 2018. And I do love educating the public on GigSalad and how it can be helpful. So I do a lot of these little webinars. So that's a little about me. I feel like I'm expert in all things GigSalad. So if you have questions at the end, I'm happy to answer those for you. A brief look at our agenda. So we'll talk about the benefits of GigSalad, how you can be successful with us, getting the leads you want, which is super important, some of the tools that we have that might help you better respond to leads and close those bookings, and then we'll close with a few frequently asked questions. Okay, so I first wanted to touch on the benefits of a Gig Salad membership. So, in short, you no longer have to create your own website to have an online presence. Our promo kits and our platform is an all in one site for you. So, it's a way to get connected with new clients. We have all kinds of events coming through, like birthdays, corporate events, weddings, holiday parties, all sorts of different events. Our platform allows you to handle everything in one place. You can respond to your leads, you can send quotes, and you can collect payments on the GigSalad platform. In addition, it's a place to build a nice little polished media kit for yourself. So you can host your online reviews, you can showcase your history of verified bookings on GigSalad. We have a couple little badges you can get, top performer and featured if you're a paid featured member. Top performer is if you're, keeping high reviews and you're responding to people really quickly. We have some more badges coming down the line too. So if you are a member or you join shortly, those we have some new badges that'll be super exciting for your profile. Some of the best benefits, I feel like we really help lighten the load for our members. You don't have to go out and source your own leads anymore. The leads come to you, they're automatically syndicated to you, meaning whenever someone creates an event, we send it out on your behalf to those that are most qualified for it. We also source your reviews for you, so you don't have to fight your clients to get them to leave a review. We will send up to 10 reminders after the event is over to get them to leave a review for you. And those will be verified, and people can see that this is a true review. It's someone that did actually get booked on GigSalad. And we also encourage clients to leave you a tip. If they leave you a 4 or 5 star review, we nudge them to leave a tip if you've added that information in there. So that's just another little perk. We have super and transparent booking fees. So you're not paying 20 something percent to an agency. For our free members, it's only 5%. For our paid members, it's 2.5% booking fee. And that's basically covering the credit card processing fee. That's really all that's for. On the client side, it's a sliding scale between 8 and 10%. So higher the gig, the lower the fee, but that's all clear on the quote when you send it to your client. And we don't really get a lot of pushback on the fees. Everybody's kind of used to platform fees from, being using things like Airbnb, just different platforms. It's sort of a norm. So most people are just fine with that. Secondly, our SEO ranking saves you time, money, and extra work. So you don't have to try to build your own website and fight to get it to the top of the search results. So SEO, most people probably know what it is, but just in case you don't, SEO stands for search engine optimization, which is a process that helps search engines understand and rank content so that their users can easily find it. So whenever you're typing something into Google, Google's running through all these different websites trying to return the best result for you. And that is an art form that our developers have worked on since the beginning of our platform. So we've always prioritized that. We like I said, we've focused on that since day one. We're always keeping a pulse on what Google is changing. If there's other top search engines taking place, AI is a big search engine that's really growing that nobody quite has a handle on, but we're definitely trying to keep learning about that and keeping at the forefront of AI search results too. So like I said, if someone searches something like cover band in Los Angeles or wedding band in Memphis, Gig Salad is almost always the top result. If we're not the top, we're likely in the top 5 or top 10. But that's generally how people are landing on Gig Salad, and we're getting the leads to you. So they're searching, they're finding Gig Salad, then they're filling out a little quote form at the top with their event details and asking for quotes from 5 or 10 vendors, and we send those out to our members. I wanted to do some quick statistics on the most popular categories for bands. By far, singing guitarist is one of the most booked on Gig Salad. So if you're a band that has a singing guitarist, absolutely add that category to your profile. Those are things like birthday parties, sometimes singing telegrams, but you don't have to take those types of gigs if you don't want. Engagements, small intimate gatherings. There's all kinds of things that these singing guitarists are getting booked for. Next in line is cover band, followed by party band, acoustic band, and wedding band. And that's not an inclusive list. That was just some of the top ones I wanted to point out in case you're creating a profile or you're curious what categories you should be adding on GigSalad. And then you can kind of see the booking dollars. These are for the past 5 years. So, close to $3 million paid out to our singing guitars, 1.5 million to our cover bands, and on and on. So, we like to think that we help people make a living doing what they love. That's kind of one of our taglines, and the dollars hopefully show that to everyone. I wanted to briefly touch, I won't spend a ton of time on this, but I wanted to give you an idea of how much it costs to join GigSalad. You can join for free. The features are a little bit limited, but it's still great for those starting out or if you just want to test the platform and see how it works. If you do want to bump up, the next tier is our Pro tier. It's $139 for 3 months. You get more categories, you get more leads, you get a lower booking fee, you get access to client phone numbers. And then featured is going to get you that little featured tag, bump you to the top of the search results, the top amount of leads that we send, and again, access to client phone numbers there too. So, and that's $169 for 3 months. And there are built-in, as you go up to 6 months or a year, there are some built-in discounts there, but that just gives you a brief look at what it might cost to join. So, how to be successful on GigSalad? The number one thing to remember is you get back what you put in. So we'll focus on some of the things that I think everyone needs to keep in mind when creating your profile. But if you're just kind of adding one picture and a little blurb, you may not get back what you're wanting to see on GigSalad because you're selling yourself. So that's something to remember when you're creating your profile. So this section, we're going to talk about high quality media, well-written content, and fine-tuning your lead preferences, which you'll see what I mean by that in a few slides here. And then some of our useful tools that help you respond to clients a bit faster and efficiently. So we can't ever talk about, something performance-based without talking about high quality media. Profile photo is the first thing your client is going to see. So most users on GigSalad are on their mobile device. So keep in mind your profile photo is, probably going to be about the size of a quarter. So the closer portrait shots are really great for those main photos. Make sure it's well lit, it's clear, it's not fuzzy, low quality. I see sometimes people take a picture of a picture, which is an interesting choice. But everybody's got a great phone these days, so there isn't really an excuse to not have a great photo on your profile. Avoid those heavy filters, and then when you're adding to your gallery, a variety of poses is always nice too. We advise that you have at least 3 photos on your profile. Up to 10 is even better. More than that, it gets a little bit tedious to scroll through. So, keep in mind people's attention spans. And, over 10 may or may not do much more for you, but at least 3 is a good strong number. And I pulled some great examples from GigSalad. So if any of these people are here, awesome job. These photos are great. So just kind of some choices of what to do if you're a single, duo, or even a full band. So these are just some great poses and clear photos. And if you're not, not everyone can afford a photographer, and that's totally fine. So I just added a few tips for taking your own photos. Neutral background is great, using plenty of light, going outside and using the golden hour, which is the hour right before the sun sets, and everyone looks lovely. You just can't go wrong with a golden hour portrait for sure. Again, the closer shots are better. So waist up, the pro tip from photographers is a 3/4 turn towards your camera. Of course, you can grab friends, family, your spouse, someone to help get those new photos out there for you. The portrait mode on iPhones is perfect. You don't even have to try. It makes you look great too. So there's lots of ways to get great photos onto your promo kit. Videos are, of course, extremely important for bands. We want to see what you look like on stage. We want to hear what you sound like when you're singing. So videos are really important for getting booked on GigSalad. They give, kind of a complete idea of what it would be like to hire you rather than just the flat photos might. again, using good lighting. If you have a separate microphone, they're super cheap on Amazon. That always helps with making audio a bit more clear. Again, the neutral backgrounds. You can do either one song per video or blend them together for 1 to 3 videos is ideal. We do use YouTube or Vimeo, so you would want to upload those to those platforms and then share the link on your promo kit. And then audio is an option. You don't have to include those. Sometimes video is just fine. If you want to include audio, that's great. We always, I know folk singers and most people that are performers want to put their original music out there, and you can absolutely do that. But keep in mind that most of the things that are coming through Gig Salad are going to be cover requests because people just want to hear the songs they already know. So one thing to think about Gig Salad is a place to make money for your original project. So you can go to a wedding and sing a few cover songs and then, have the money to put out your own album or, buy merch or whatever you want to do for your original project. So something to keep in mind there is those cover songs are great, help entice people to click. And then you can, of course, add your originals in there too. We do cover all of the ASCAP and BMI fees on GigSalad, so don't have to worry about that. And then we do use MP3 files for those audio files. Okay, the second part of your promo kit is going to be your content. So that'll be your overview, your bio, your set list, that kind of thing. So think of this as your elevator pitch. So you want to talk about your years of experience, who you kind of sound like or who's influenced you, what your clients can expect from your performance, how long your set is, and what sets you apart from the competition. So we kind of touched on AI earlier. I don't like to use AI for everything, but it can help polish if you're not a great writer. So if you kind of give it the basics, here's a couple examples. Tell the first one is kind of just a very basic. This is who we are. We can do a lot of things. We're available for this. And that's great. But if you want to punch it up a little bit, add a few adjectives in there and kind of explain why your band stands out from everybody else. So this portion is a little bit not a little bit, it's fully Gig Salad specific. So some of those other things can apply to other online profiles or online platforms, but this is specific to Gig Salad about how you can get the leads that you want and setting your lead preferences. So the first thing we want to touch on is your location, because when someone sends a lead request on Gig Salad, we first look at where they're located because we want to send their request to as local performers as possible. So we're not having to add in travel fees and that kind of thing and raising the price for the client when there's great bands local to them. So you'll want to set your location, and you do not have to choose your hometown. I always say, where do you want your gigs to come from? That's the place you should set your location. So larger markets will tend to have more leads. So let's say you live in a little suburb outside of Boston. Just, you can set your location as Boston. Then you're getting leads from Boston and the surrounding area. You can fine tune it by drive time or distance. So if you live in a big city and distance is, going a mile takes 30 minutes, you can kind of tweak that and the map will change based on what you're putting in there. So just go in there and kind of play around and see how the map changes and if it covers what you're wanting to cover there. And one thing to note, the time and distance follows major highways. So you'll know that that's accurate. The radius setting is simply an as the crow flies radius, which is probably not the best one to choose. So if you're a current member and you have the radius set, you might want to go in and tweak it with the time or distance. Okay, so calendars are of course very important to performers. That's where you keep all of your dates and your bookings. So we've set up a feature where you can sync your calendar to GigSalad. So you can import your iCal or Google Calendars. That way you'll be alerted if there's a lead that comes in that's already booked on your calendar. It does help cut down on those double bookings, which are never any fun. You can edit your general availability, like if you have a day job, and you want to set it where you don't get any leads Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, for example. You can set that here. You can choose to block those leads or not. So you can go ahead and get those leads that come in that might conflict and choose whether you want to shift things around and accept that gig or not. So there's some flexibility there. One thing with lead preferences is the category. So a lot of people, when they're joining, they'll set their primary category and maybe never come back and add any other ones. So you're, as a free member, you can have one primary and one additional. A pro member, you can have up to 15 categories, and a featured, you can have up to 20. So especially if you're a paid member, come in here and be sure you're adding all the categories you possibly can. We do have a little area there of suggested categories on the add categories page. So we try to give you some guidance there as to what might work for your band. So take a look at that and add any of those that might make sense for you. There's event type setting too. If you say you don't want to do weddings or you don't want to do funerals or holiday parties, you can kind of remove the different events that you don't want to do, or you can leave them all in there and get leads for all types of events. It's just kind of up to you there. You can also note your performance length, like if you don't want to take gigs that are over 4 hours, or, those are all editable things there. Okay, so I want to touch on a few of our specific tools. So we'll talk about lead notifications, our saved messages, and our saved quotes. So we'll first talk about lead notifications. Those are missing or responding to leads quickly is the number one way that you can close bookings on GigSalad. So you never want to miss those leads. So double check your email address for email notifications, adding us to your contacts. If you're a featured member and you have an assistant or someone that you want a second email address, you can add that. We offer text notifications, so be sure to sign up for those. And then we do offer advanced lead notice preferences. If you don't want last minute leads, you can turn those off. Or if you do want them, great. Maybe you'll be able to close a couple of those. So going back to response. So we've created some tools called saved messages where you can ahead of time write out, several different saved messages for maybe weddings, birthday parties, Christmas parties. That way, whenever those leads start coming in, all you have to do is click one drop down, select your saved message, and respond to your client. It's very important, as I was saying, bands who respond in the first hour are 1.5 more times likely to book than those who respond after 5 hours. So speed is the name of the game. Getting in there and immediately building some rapport with that client and hopefully closing the booking. So we offer some features there called short codes, which will help you personalize those messages without having to literally go in and retype the name and all of that every time. So you can say something like, hi, and then click on the short code for the first name and then write your message. So when it goes to the client, it'll say, hi, Megan, thanks for reaching out. So it'll automatically fill in the event details based on whatever short codes you've clicked to add to that saved message. So makes personalizing it very easy. You can also add attachments to these saved messages if you want to add more photos, MP3s, or PDFs. So like if you have a set list or a contract or something you want to add, you can add that all there too. And same idea with the saved quotes, but this will just make quoting fast and easy. Same deal. You just kind of create several different ones based on your pricing, and then you can always tweak them if you need to before you send. You can always use this as maybe a jumping off point and then tweak it a little for each person. But I always advise taking an hour or so as you're creating your promo kit and creating a bunch of these saved messages so you don't have to mess with the leads coming in and struggling with responding to them. So a little bit of time ahead, especially right now as the season's ramping up for holiday parties. That's generally when we start seeing more leads come in. So it's a great time to create some of those. Okay, so that's basically the rundown of GigSalad and how it can kind of help bands close bookings and get more leads and get some more exposure on the web without having to put a ton of work into it. So I do have a few frequently asked questions I'll cover, and of course, if anybody had questions after this, we'll go over those. But these are some of the main questions. So how do gig leads work? So as we were talking at the beginning, there are two ways that you might receive leads on GigSalad. First, directly from event planners. So if they come to GigSalad and they're searching singing guitarist, they might be scrolling through the search results and choosing, building a favorites list and then submitting that on their own. Or they can fill out the quick quote form at the top where they just fill out their event details and ask for a singing guitarist in their area. Then they can say, I want 5 or 10 vendors, and we will send those to the applicable performer there in the area. So, how do clients book you? When a planner accepts your quote, they do pay in full up front. So, based on what you've set in your quote, you can choose the deposit and the balance. Or if you don't want a deposit, you don't have to, but that is an option. So they will pay it in full up front, and we will send your deposit right away within 1 to 2 business days. And then the balance will come after the event. So this makes sure that the entire amount is safe and secure. You don't have to worry about that you're not going to get paid the day of the event, standing around waiting for money. It's always a little bit awkward. So that kind of takes care of all of that for you and for the client. Okay, so another big question, why do I pay a service fee and a membership fee? And great question. The membership fee is really to cover the added benefits and the greater exposure on the site, while the service fee is to cover the payment processing and our platform costs. So for pro and featured members, like I mentioned, it's only 2.5%, which is actually lower than most credit card processing fees. So we're still, I would say still competitive in that arena. Last question. I like my own contracts. Why should I book on your platform? And a great question as well. And you're welcome to share those contracts with your clients. But we believe that booking through GigSalad ensures guaranteed payments and a smoother experience for your client and for you, like we said earlier. It also boosts your exposure because when our members book on the site, respond quickly, and earn positive reviews, they get that little top performer badge. And then again, we do collect client reviews for you. And then, kind of the Debbie Downer portion, it is in our terms of use that all gigs must be booked on the platform in order to keep your account active. So if the platform's working and you're getting leads, we just ask that you keep the booking on the platform, and it's a win-win for everyone. So that is basically what I have for everyone. So yeah, I think
Thank you so much, Megan. I'm going to read off some questions and answers. But first, so this is my second year working with you all as a sponsor. And so I was paying attention during your presentation. I love all of the little tips that you give artists. And I was wondering, is that on your website, or do you send out that information to your members whenever they sign up, even as a free, on the free membership level?
Whenever you first join, we do send an email with a bunch of tips in there. We also have a really robust help center. So if you go to gigsalad.com and scroll to the bottom, there's click on the help link. It'll open our help center that has tons of articles for both event planners and performers. So and we have a great blog that has everything from party planning ideas to how to be more successful on GigSalad. There's all kinds of articles in our blog. So both of those are also great resources.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to start on the Q&A, and if you put something in the chat, could you go ahead and put it into the Q&A? And whenever I go through all of the Q&A questions, I'll go back and see if there's any in the chat. So I'm going to start with this one though. Are you familiar with Bash? I've heard of that too. Never tried. Compare, contrast.
Yes. So the Bash it used to be called Gig Masters, and they changed their name a few years ago. It's very similar to us, and it's funny, they're about 10 years older than us, I think, but we honestly didn't know they existed. And then we built this platform and product and then realized there was another platform like that in the space. So they're very similar. Build a profile, get leads, get bookings. Honestly, there's not a huge difference as far as user experience and how it all works. One difference is they don't offer a free profile, so you do have to pay to be on the Bash no matter what. And this is me just being biased, but I have heard time and time again that our customer support is miles above the Bash. We have a very small, really great team, but we respond quickly. We give personalized help, and I've just heard that over and over that our customer support is much better. So I'll take that and say that.
Nice. As an artist myself, it's always nice whenever you're working with someone that's got great customer service. Okay, so this is from Miguel. I've been using GigSalad for my acoustic string band jam grass project for about 4 months. So far, so good. Here to learn more about using GigSalad more and or better. Maybe just some tips on how he could use GigSalad better.
Yeah, I think, most of the time I try to highlight in these presentations things that you might not have noticed were available. So the saved quotes, saved messages, adding your tipping information, going through and checking your categories. You can always reach out to us at help@gigsalad.com if you want a profile consultation. We can always go through and make some personalized recommendations for you. But yeah, just take some time and click through the menu on the side of your dashboard and make sure all your lead preferences are set. If you're just wanting general advice on business or improving your profiles, the blog has a great section using Gig Salad for performers that has all kinds of information on improving profiles and tools and things like that. So hopefully that helps.
I can't remember what slide this was, but wondering after the graphic that just came up, there's no DJ listed, but that feels like a popular hired gig category. Does Gig Salad not feature DJs on the platform?
We do. I assume they were talking about that list of popular band categories. I just chose bands because Folk Alliance is generally bands. But yeah, we have 600 plus categories. So DJs are absolutely booked on Gig Salad for all kinds of events. So we have DJ, prom DJ, mobile DJ, karaoke DJ. So there's all kinds of different DJ categories you can add. But yeah, that slide was just a blip of the number of categories we have on the site.
Next question. How do you advertise your platform to drive potential customers to your platform? In order to search, does a potential customer need to be a member?
Sure. So SEO is our main driver where we're making sure that our name is coming up when people are searching for things like wedding band in Los Angeles or wedding band near me, those types of phrases. So that's the main focus. But we do have a really great marketing team that is really ramping up our marketing and our paid advertising. So we're advertising on Google. We have some streaming commercials going on, Hulu and Peacock and all those types of things. We're advertising on Reddit, we're advertising on Pinterest. So we're really throwing it out there everywhere where potential event planners can be. And no, they don't have to be a member. So they can land on the site, fill out the form, and all we do at the end is ask them to create an email and password just so they can manage their event and talk to the performers. But they don't have to sign up ahead of time. The sign up actually is kind of backwards. It's at the very end of the process after they've submitted their request.
Okay, so I think this is a two-part. If I get booked through Gig Salad, are the ASCAP and BMI fees covered for the event if I perform cover songs? Underneath there, well, we'll just start with that one.
So not at the event. Most of the time that falls to the venue, and generally they have that covered. We cover it for you to display it on your profile, so that you can put up your YouTube or your audio tracks. But the event itself, generally that's up to the venue to cover, which they almost. I mean, I've never heard of a time that they haven't, but you're welcome to check that with the client before booking if you want.
I think this may be in the same category. Lou asked if I play many assisted living, senior centers, nursing homes, or in general senior shows, do many directors at such facilities use Gig Salad? How about library and school shows also?
I'm
Uh-oh.
so sorry.
No, you're fine.
Great one.
Please take some water if you need some.
I'm going to mute for just a moment. I'm sorry. Yes, retirement communities are very, very popular on GigSalad. So I see coming through all the time. So I don't know if that was the question or if is that an ASCAP coverage
Do they
question?
use GigSalad? I think that was it. Disappeared.
Absolutely. Yep. All day, every day I see those leads coming in. So very popular.
Oh, libraries and schools?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah, libraries and schools. I would say libraries and schools tend to book things more like um, educational speakers, things for school fairs and that sort of thing. I don't see a ton. Sometimes um, if they're looking for like a cultural presentation, somebody that maybe does world music like a mariachi or maybe an African drum band. Those types of things are very popular at schools and libraries. If we're just talking about a general singing guitarist or a band of some sort, I don't see a ton of those, but just depending on your categories, yeah, there is a chance you could get those types of gigs for sure.
Is it easy to switch type? Is it easy to switch your membership type if I start pro but want to change back to free, etc.?
Well, if you're just wanting to test the paid membership, that's kind of why we have the different 3, 6, and 12-month memberships. So you can always, if you buy the 3 months, for example, and you don't renew it at the end of the 3 months, it'll just your membership will expire, is what we call it, but you'll be bumped back down to the free or to the free profile. So yeah, you could buy 3 months. If it's not working out for you, you just let it expire and it'll go back down to the free. Um, but if you buy it and then you're not happy with it, we don't generally offer refunds. So just try the free to start out and see if it's something that you want to invest more time and money into before purchasing, is my advice there.
Great. My experience, we have a great cover band with wonderful reviews, and I always respond right away and give very personal customer service. My 3-year experience is that we are consistently getting undercut by acts who charge far less. Comments or suggestions?
Um, well, that's difficult because, we are an open marketplace, so we don't have anything to do with what the bands are quoting. I guess at that point it would just be you can put your pricing on your profile, as an informational field. So that way it could keep clients from contacting you if they see that maybe the budget is way out of their budget. I would say that most people, especially with cover bands, they probably don't expect the price that you're giving. Not that your price is wrong, but cover bands are extremely talented and usually have several members, so the pricing can be a little bit more than they were expecting. So what you might try to do is talk about budget up front. If you can, maybe reduce the amount of band members or something like that to kind of better fit their budget. That could be something to explore. As far as competition undercutting, at that point, it's they're sort of getting what they pay for, I guess, in the end. Um, it's just kind of up to you to show why you're worth the money. Why are you going to make their event really great? And if you have, this isn't super relevant to this question, but I did want to mention if you're a paid member, we do have a new feature called Lead Insights. So you can see how many other people are quoting, how many other people are sending messages. So you can maybe keep on top of those clients and just do what you can to fight that competition that's maybe coming in and trying to undercut. Yeah, undercutting is a difficult thing because people generally have a set budget, and if they can't afford you, that's just they can't afford you. So you could maybe try and reduce the service or change up your packages just to see if it'll fit their event and their budget a little bit better. So that was a bit of a rambling question, but that's a hard one. There's no real cut and dry answer to that, but maybe something like that would help.
You answered it very well. Brian wants to know, can you explain why the free account receives fewest leads? Are free profiles just lower in search? Thanks.
Yes. Well, I mean, the free profile, obviously, if you're paying for a membership, we want to give you a little more preference. And yes, it is dependent on where you fall in the search results. So featured members are listed first in the search, followed by pro, and then followed by the free members. So if you're in a really heavily populated area with a lot of competition, it almost might be necessary to have a paid profile just to get up in the search results and get some leads. If you're in a more rural area or somewhere where there's not a lot of competition, the free profile, you might get all the leads you need and be just fine. It just kind of depends on where you're at. But yeah, the free profiles will be listed below all of the paid members in that area first.
Great. And we have one more question. Michelle wants to know, do you have any cases, examples of singing guitarists using GigSalad to book a tour, regional or national? Or is GigSalad only helpful for local bookings?
Yeah, GigSalad is really more for private parties, community events, that kind of thing. So we don't get a lot of tour requests. We will get the occasional home concert, but generally it's going to be things like birthday parties, weddings, anniversary parties, holiday parties. So yeah, a lot of home parties in community, school, library, retirement community type events. Not a lot of touring requests. Sometimes festivals, though. That is one that you might get.
All right. Thank you so much, Megan, for answering all of those questions. And we are on time, y'all, even with a technical glitch at the beginning. I want to thank Megan for a wonderful and thoughtful, provoking webinar, and especially a big thanks to our community and to all of the folks watching today. A recording of today's webinar will be made on our YouTube channel later this month. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss it. And on a final note, our year-round online offerings are provided at no cost to our members, thanks to the generosity of our donors. If you would like to support our work, donations can be made at folk.org/donate, and that will be put into our chat. Thank you, everyone, for coming and joining us in our webinar. Thank you, Megan. Again, GigSalad is one of our sponsors for the conference, and they're just a great organization. Thank you for giving us all that information. I learned so much today. Stay safe and connected, community, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.